we are going to learn how to graph linear functions. So first we have to know what a linear function or a linear equation is. A linear function is any function that when graphed or whose graph is a line. We also sometimes refer to it as a linear equation. So linear function and linear equation are the same thing. Now remember, to be a function, for every x, we can only have one y. All right, so there's 3 steps here. So our first step is we're going to make a table, and we're going to be using this equation or this function to make this table. So you are going to choose any values of x that you want. Since I typically try to choose 2 negatives, 2 positives, and 0, but you can choose any ones you want. But for right now, choose the same ones as me. We're going to choose -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. You can pick other ones. Those are just the ones that is going to make this the easiest. Okay, once you picked your x values, you're going to plug them in for x. We're trying to find y. So for this first one, we're saying x is -4. So y equals -1/2, and then instead of x, I'm going to put -4 plus 3. All right? Then I'm going to follow my order of operations. -1/2 times -4 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. So y equals 5. So now we can write our coordinate pair. We know x is -4. We know y is 5. So our coordinate pair is -4, 5. We're going to continue to do this same pattern until we get all 5 coordinates. So now I'm going to plug in -2 for x. Y equals -1/2 times -2 plus 3. So -1/2 times -2 is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. So y equals 4 in this situation. So we can write our coordinate pair. -2, 4. All right. Now I'm going to plug in 0 for x. So y equals -1/2. Instead of x, I'm putting 0 plus 3. Solve it. -1/2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. So y equals 3. So 0, 3. I'm going to give you all a couple seconds to do 2 and 4 on your own. All right, so hopefully doing that on your own, you discovered that it was 2, 2, and 4, 1. Hopefully you got those 2 correct. All right, now moving on to the next step. Now you're just going to graph it. Now remember, we said if this is linear, it should make a straight line. So I'm going to graph all 5 of those points. So -4 up to 5. -2 up to 4, 0 up to 3, 2 up to 2, and 4 up to 1. Now you can kind of already see that they're in a straight line, but you definitely want to connect it to prove that they're a straight line, and you always want to put an arrow on the end to represent that it goes on forever. All right, so that was step 2. You just want to graph. Step 1 is to make the table and fill it in. Step 2 is to graph. Step 3 is determine if the equation is a function. Well, we know by our vertical line test that it would only hit our pencil once at every point, so we can say yes, it is a function. We can also know, because all of our domains, right here, all of our domains only gave 1 range. So that's another way to know. So you would want to put yes and something regarding domain and range. All right. Remember, you can always rewatch this if you have any questions. All for me. All right, so now, in order to graph a linear equation, your equation must be with y equals some number x plus some other number. So we want to make sure that they're always written in that form. And we also call this slope-intercept, but we're going to get to that later. All right, so let's start with this example. Right now, it's not in y equals. We can't solve that without it being in y equals. So your first step is going to be move your x's to the other side. Move your x's to the other side. And you probably want to draw your balance bar to keep it even. So if it's a positive 3x, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So those cancel. I'm left with y equals negative 5 minus 3x. I can't subtract these two because one has an x and one doesn't. All right? Then your second step is divide by the coefficient, which is the number next to the y on both sides. Thankfully, there's no number in front of y here, so we're basically done because it's already in y equals some number x. And then if you do have to divide, you want to leave your x value as a fraction. So we now have it in y equals. And now you're going to follow those same 3 steps from earlier, but using this new equation, because you want it to be y equals. So you're going to have to create your own table here. X. And then we're going to put the coordinate over here. All right. You can choose any numbers again. I'm going to choose, I'm just going to choose -1, 0, and 1. You typically want to choose more than that, but for our time's sake, I'm just going to choose 3. All right, so we're using y equals negative 5 minus 3x. All right, so let's plug it in. Instead of x, I'm going to plug in my values for x. So on this one, I'm going to plug in -1. Y equals negative 5 minus 3 times -1. So 3 times -1 is -1, so -5 minus -3. So -5 minus -3, which will be the same as plus, is -2. So y equals -2. So -1, -2. All right, you're going to do it again for 0. So y equals -5 minus 3 times 0. So we have y equals -5 minus 0, which is just -5. So this is 0, -5. All right, the next one we have y equals -5 minus 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3, so y equals -5 minus 3, which is the same as plus and negative. So that makes y equals -8. So 1, -8. All right, then you're going to graph. So we have -1, -2, 0, -5, and 1, -8. And then you're going to connect them. They do make a straight line. Ignore my really bad line. And we would say, yes, they are a function. So, remember, you can watch this as many times as you need to until you understand. But have these completed and feel free to repeat as much as possible.